Okay, let's have a quick look around this Swift Challenger Sport that we've got here. Have a quick instructional video on how to operate the caravan. We have 4 corner steadies on the van. So when we first get to our site, what we want to be doing is detaching it from our car. Then we want to be leveling the caravan from front to back, also left to right. Once we've done that, we level front to back using our jockey wheel here. Okay, so we can lower the or raise the front to get this level front to back. A spirit level inside the van or on our A-frame is the way to do this. And once we've got that, we can then look at left to right. Most campsites are going to be level side to side, but it's always worth checking. And also you can get some leveling wedges so you can put under one wheel so we can level it from side to side. Anyway, once the legs are down, once it's level, what we want to do is put our legs down. Now we've got a corner steady on each corner here, and we have a bolt just in here so we can wind the legs down on each corner. We must make sure we're leveling the van first. These are steadies, not levelers, all right? So don't try and level on these because they're not designed to take that kind of pressure. All right, you have the winding tool here, as you can see in your front locker, for winding your legs down. All right. So once we're all level, we can then start trying to set up our caravan. So first things first, we're going to come in here. This is our gas locker, all right? So you can see that with an LPG sticker here. We're going to come in and we're going to turn on our gas. Now I've got one of my test bottles on here, so you will need one of these, a gas bottle to operate the van properly. We're going to come in and turn on our gas bottle to allow the gas flow to come through our pigtail here, through our bulkhead regulator up here, which will turn it to the working pressure for the van, and then that will go over to our utilities inside the van. When we're travelling, we must make sure that our gas bottles are strapped in, okay, and also turned off while we're travelling as well. All right, so just bear that in mind. This goes into the side using a gas spanner on an opposite thread. All right, so when we need to change our gas bottles, it's not lefty loosey righty tighty. It's the other way around, okay? But the important thing is to make sure we're strapped in and we're turned off when we are travelling. But then, of course, when we get to site, we want to turn that on. We'll do a hitch up with you when you pick the van up, but just a couple of things of note really. 13 pin electrics we're running on here, so you need to make sure that your car is compatible with that or you have the right adapter for it. And we have an Alco hitch head stabilizer here, so you need to make sure you have an Alco compatible tow ball. All right. If you need any more information on that, do ask. But if you're having one fitted, if you speak to the tow bar fitter and let them know it's an Alco hitch head that you've got, they'll be able to make sure you've got the right tow ball. All right. Also, if you do have a brand new tow ball, we want to make sure we're sanding off the paint before we start using it. All right, so we've got bare metal, so that the friction pads in here have got something to grip onto. And if we have an existing tow ball with grease on it, we want to make sure we're completely removing that grease. All right, because it again will mess up the hitch head and won't work as a stabilisation unit as it should do. We've also got ATC attached to this van as well, Alco trailer control. All right, so that can independently brake the wheels. Okay, so that is what that is, an extra safety feature there as well. We've got the van all running up for you at the minute, so I've got my Truma boiler flue here as well. Okay, you can see, I don't know if you can see, but it's quite cold out and we've got steam coming out of there. All right, I've got that running on gas and electric at the moment because it's quite cold today, just to warm everything up inside the van. Nothing you need to do with it, but that's where it is. We need water coming into our van as well, so we've got fresh water going in here, okay? So you'll need an aqua roll like this one here, and this water pipe you will find in your front locker that plugs into the side of the van, drops into our water barrel, and then we're ready to start putting water into our van. But first things first, fill it up with water, plug it into the side, and then we can deal with the rest of it from inside the van. In here we have our where our leisure battery goes. Again, this is my test battery that I've got on here, so you'll need a leisure battery to make the van work. All right, that's providing all the 12-volt power to everything inside, like our lights, water pumps and things like that. And then if we do have access to mains power, we can put a mains lead in, okay, and that will give us access to 240-volt power inside the van. All right, so domestic power like you would have at home. You'll need one of these leads to obviously do that, okay, so that's what that is. If it comes on a barrel or a wheel, you want to be making sure you're flaking it all out like we've got it here. They do draw a lot of current, it can get quite hot if they're coiled up, all right, so we don't want them coiled up when we are using them. Fridge vents are here, okay, so we've got a 3-way fridge on board, uses heat to cool, so pulls the cold air in from the bottom, exits the hot air out from the top, so that is what they are. Nothing you need to do with them, but just so that you're aware of what they are. And we have an aerial here for our radio inside the van. Our wastewater comes out from here, okay, so we've got 2 exits here. All right, one is coming from our shower and one is coming from our sinks. All right, so you need a waste master under here. There'll be some waste hose in your front locker, so you can cut that down to the right length to go into your waste master. That takes all your grey water, and then once that's full, you take that to your service point, empty that. They're about the same size as the aqua roll, so generally about the same sort of time if you're doing them together. Flush tank is here, all right, so we do have a flush tank for the van. That's a separate water container really to flush the toilet with, because we add chemicals to that. Some pink chemical will generally go in there mixed with some water. That will allow A, it smells nice, B, helps keep all the pumps and everything lubricated. So that is purely where your flush goes. We keep that separate obviously to our fresh water because we're adding chemicals. In here we have our toilet cassette. Obviously when we flush the toilet, it's got to go somewhere, and that's where it goes to, is down in here. All right, so if you just open that up, there we go. Thetford toilet cassette. All right, when we want to empty it, there's an LED light that will tell us inside. We just lift this handle up here, pull the whole unit out, okay. And here we go, we've got our unit here. Once we are at this service point, there'll be a dedicated chemical toilet spot on site, okay. We take the arm out like this, take the lid off, okay, and then we can empty it out. We do have to press this orange button. That releases the air pressure inside the unit, okay. Empty everything out. There's normally a hose pipe there as well, so I would suggest putting a bit more water in, giving it a swish around, and then going again, just to make sure that we're getting everything out. And also I would suggest using caravan toilet paper, not regular toilet paper, because it breaks down so much better in the cassette. The extendable handle, a bit like a suitcase there if you want to wheel it along, okay. And to put it back in, quite simply, push it in until it clicks. In the winter, or when we're not using the van, we want to make sure we're leaving no water residue in the van, so we want to drain our flush tank down. We do that by pulling this little black hose down, taking the cap out the end, and that will drain down our flush tank, also making sure that we're emptying our toilet cassette as well. Having some silicone spray to lube up the seals every now and again, and all the lockers and everything, isn't a bad idea either. Okay, so that is something you can do. Grab handles on the back, all of our lights of course. You'll need a number plate depicting the car that you're towing with, of course, there as well. Okay, that's pretty much it for the outside. We've of course got a motor mover as well. All right, so we'll have a look at that quickly at the end. We have an extra door lock here as well, all right, which we have the key for there, which is our red one. And we also have a roll-out canopy on the side there as well. The winder for it is just inside the doorway here. There it is there. So we can wind that out. It's got legs that will drop down, okay, and we got a nice sun canopy outside our van. Just bear in mind, be a bit careful with the wind with these, all right. If the wind pick them up, they can take them over the top of the van, so make sure they're pegged down properly, and if there is any wind, roll them away. And I would suggest not leaving them out overnight either, just for safety sake. We don't want to damage our van if we can avoid it. Awning light over the top there, we can turn that on and off from inside the van. Right, we come inside nice and warm in here. I've had the heating on overnight as I've been testing everything to make sure it's all working as it should do. So now we want to start preparing the van for use. Now I've already done it, so we're going to kind of simulate everything I've done already, all right? So first things first, when you get into your van, you want to come in and close all of your taps. All right, you'd have left them open, and we'll talk about why you'd have left them open a bit later on. It's for we make sure we don't damage anything if anything freezes. So we come in and turn off all the taps. And then we're going to close our boiler drain valve, which is situated down under here. You can see we've got this yellow switch just there. So you want to make sure that's in the down position as it is now. All right, if you flick it up so it's pointing upwards, that's the open position. You'd always leave it drained down, so we'll come in and close that. That way, when we turn on the water pump, it's not going to just drop down to the floor. It is going to fill up our boiler, which is what we want to do, all right? Because we have a boiler on board, which is just sat underneath there, okay, and that heats our hot water up. We've also got our main power unit here as well, okay? So if I just lift this up and have a quick look, we've got two sides to that. We've got the 12-volt side here with all our blaze fuses in it. All right, you can see that there. So if you do need to change a fuse, this is where you come to. If you pull this down, here you can see it tells us what all the fuses do. All right, so that's our 12-volt system there. There is a shutdown pattern here as well, so we can isolate the whole 12-volt system. So you do want to make sure that is depressed, that is pressed when you are trying to turn everything on in your van. All right, if you don't, you won't be able to turn your panel on or do anything. This side is 240 volts, so very much like at home. We've got trip switches. All right, so again, on that sticker we've just looked at, it tells you what each one does. We do need to make sure these buttons are pressed down as well. This one's for our battery charger if we're plugged into mains, okay, and this one is for our heating and our hot water. So we do want to make sure that that is all running. Otherwise, we won't be able to use any heating or hot water or charge our battery when we're plugged in. The main thing I want to talk about here is our main RCD, okay? So we've got a yellow test button here. If you're struggling to get 240 volt power to the van, 9 times out of 10 it's a problem to where you're plugged into, not your actual van, all right? So if you come and press this test button, if you press it and it trips, then we know we've got power coming to it, all right? But if we press that and nothing happens, it stays in the upwards position, that tells us we're not getting power to the unit, so we need to go and check where we're plugged into, or our mains cable, or something along those kind of lines, all right? Because where you plug into on site, they will also have trip switches as well, all right? Okay. Then what we want to do is we're going to come and find our panels, all right, which are sitting up here. Okay. This is our main panel here. So we've got our main power button there. All right, so if I press that, that will turn everything on. It tells me that I have a Leisure battery connected because I can see a yellow dot there. Also tells me that I'm plugged into mains, so I have access to mains power as well. I can test my Leisure battery. That tells me that it's up at 14 volts at the moment. That's because it's charging. I can also have a look at my vehicle battery if I was plugged in to my car. I'm not, so that's not going to do anything for me either. All right. What I want to then do is turn on my water pump. All right, so you can see that here. Press that. We want that button illuminated. Now we know that the water pump is on. Then we need to purge the system. All right, so it's all full of air at the moment because we've got no water in it. I mean, I do, but when you first get here, that you won't do. So you're going to come to your tap. You're going to turn it over to the hot side. All right, and you're going to turn the tap on. All right, now I've got a steady flow of water here, but you won't get that. It'll do a lot of coughing and spluttering, as what it does is it pulls the water from your aquarel outside. That then comes in, fills up our boiler, so it's going to push all the air out of the boiler through the pipes, push it out of our tap, and then replace it with water. So once you've got a steady flow of water, I can shut the tap off, okay, and then I'm going to go and do the same with the hot leg of my tap on both my other taps in here. So that's my shower and also my sink there as well. I'm then going to do the same to the cold leg of the system, turn it over to cold, turn it on. Again, this will be much quicker because we're not having to fill a boiler up, but once we've got a steady flow of water, turn it off, do the same in the bathroom as well. Now we've got no air in the system, it's all replaced with water. Even if you're not going to use your shower, please purge it through anyway. That way there's no air left in the system and everything's going to work much better for you that way. Okay, once that's done, we then need to start turning our hot water and our heating on. For that, we're going to come to our Truma panel over here, okay? So this is our Truma panel in sleep mode at the moment. So, right, so at the moment it tells us a few different things. So at the moment this is my standby screen, tells me it's 13 degrees in here. I've got the heating set to 20 degrees, so it's heating up, okay, and my water is set to 60 degrees there as well, okay. So I turn the panel on and off from this button here. This one here is the internal temperature for the van, so I press that and you can see I've got it set for 20, but I can go up and down, all right, using the arrows and set it to whatever I want it to be, and then press set, okay. That way you can see that's set there at 20, but if I was to go and set that at 19, 18, press OK, there we go, that's set that to 18, and then that tells us what the actual temperature is in the van, okay. I'm then going to look at my hot water, which is the picture of the shower, so I'm going to come here. Now I can have water off or water on to 60 degrees, so that there, when it's highlighted with 0, see it says water 0. If I press that again, and then go down to water 60 with the little arrow there. Okay, then press set. That then does my water to 60, and you can see it's gone to 60 degrees there. I then need to select what kind of power I'm using, all right? So press the middle button for that, because we can run our heating on gas or electric or a combination of the both. So I'm going to press that button there, and it gives us a list of different options. So I can have two 30 volt so that's mains power, 4 amps. I can have 8 amps. I can have it purely just gas powered if I don't have access to mains power, or I can run them together, 4 amps and gas, 8 amps in gas. So it depends on how cold it is. If I really wanted to heat the van up and I was on mains hookup and it was cold outside, I'd probably go 8 amps in gas till the van was heated up, and then I would then set it back to just normal mains power, like so. But again, if I'm off-grid, don't have access to mains power, I can just go down to gas and set. and that will light the boiler on gas, not using any electric at all. So if I was off grid, I've purely got my battery running, my lights, water pumps, etc. But my heating and hot water is going to be powered purely by the gas, and you can see there it says G for gas there. So I'm just going to set this to 8 amps 230 volt because I'm plugged into mains and it's quite warm in here now anyway. So that is all working as it should do. There are some other settings you can go into. You can set timers and things like that. You can set what time of year it is, winter, summer, set the clock and all sorts of things like that. But the basics are how to turn it on and off, what's the temperature inside the van, what power source am I using, and is my hot water on or off. Okay, so it's pretty simple, that side of stuff. We've now got it plumbed up with water. We've got our heating on. We've got our hot water heating up as well. Okay, so that is all good. Got 2 alarms here: carbon monoxide alarm, and also my other alarms here. So that's just testing that they're all working properly. So we're happy with that. Yeah, okay. Right, we'll have a quick look around the rest of the van. We've got a nice area here just for putting bits and pieces down. A cup and glass holder is there. Okay, we'll just open it up everything to make sure we're not missing anything. TV point is here, also with our 12 volt and our 240 volt plug socket, remembering the 240 domestic plug sockets are only available when we're plugged into mains. Individual reading lights, okay. Good stuff. So they're all individually switched. So we've got one light there, another light there, which then brings us onto our windows just here. We have anything that opens will have a fly screen, so we can have our windows open and all the midges don't get in. But also have blackout blinds as well. Of course they have curtains, but they're kind of there just to soften the van really. But you can use both if you wish to. The blind is on a ratchet, so we can ratchet it to different positions depending where the sun is. And our windows here are what we call screw fit windows, I suppose is the best way to describe them. So we open them on each corner like that. We open the window to the desired amount, okay, and then we just screw them tight on both sides. There we go, and that will hold the window open. And then to release, we just slacken off the bolts or the screws, and then we lock the window shut. It does have a breather setting as well, so you can lock them sort of a little bit shut if you were leaving the van for not too long. But if you're leaving for any period of time, I would suggest making sure that we have that fully locked. Windows at the front are exactly the same, okay, and they've all got blinds and fly screens as well. This one here is just a fixed pane window, so we do have a blind, but we don't have a fly screen, so we can black out the cabin at night. Got lights here, a light switch on each side, so this one does our downlighter there, this one does our uplighters on each side there. Okay, coming to the front, domestic plug sockets are there. We've also got some USB sockets are also here as well. We have our coffee table that pulls out, all right, and then lift and push back. Just be careful you don't have anything on top of it when you're using it, otherwise it will go flying everywhere, all right. You'll find your book packs and everything in your drawer here, okay. We'll make sure they're all in there for you, so you've got all your instruction manuals and everything like that as well. The bed slats pull out from here, okay, and lock into place. We then use our cushions to move this out, so the back ones I tend to put in the middle, but we always turn them over so we're sleeping on the flat side. And if you see, we have these cushions here with a slight bolster. We flip those over so the bolster is on the other side of the van. That way we've got a nice flat surface, and you can see we've got the grey bits, which is the sleeping side, underneath there. And then lift this slightly to get over the stoppers, and then push these away, and we've put our bed away. Access underneath here for some storage. And under here we've seen already where we've got our battery charger, we've got our sergeant unit, boiler, motor mover control set, and everything is under there. Again, we've got more reading lights here, so we turn those off as we go around. All right, and our radio is sat in here. You can see we've got speakers above there, so we have a CD radio in here with an aux in. Power on off is just by the source button there. Okay, and then the source button we can toggle between aux in, which is the plug 3.5mm jack there. Okay, AM radio, FM radio, or we of course put a CD in there if we want. So if I put the FM radio on, so there we go. And then to turn off, we just push down the source button, and there we go, it turns off. You have an EQ button and bits and pieces there as well. This whole panel does come off, all right, like so. It's got a bit of a mind of its own, there we go. And then to put it back in, we quite simply push in one side and then clip it back into place. We've got an extension to our kitchen that comes up from there. All right, that locks into place. And then to put it down, we just push the buttons underneath here. 1 and 2. Easier done with 2 hands really, but there we go. And then it'll slide down and lock back into place. Our draining board is on here, as you can see. You can stow that away wherever you like, but that sits on the side of the sink here, so when we're doing our washing up, it doesn't get the sink, the top all wet. We've talked about our taps already, but we've got some nice hot water coming out of there. It does get very hot, as I say, 60 degrees, so just bear in mind, you can see all the steam coming off of there, but of course it is a mixer tap as well. We have another cupboard in here with cup holders, another 240 volt socket. The little catches here for opening and closing. We've got a 240 volt socket in here, that's for the microwave. So the microwave will only work when we're plugged into mains power, okay? So it won't work on off the battery, you do have to be plugged in. When we're traveling, you do want to make sure that you take your microwave plate out. We'll put this in your book pack in the drawer there, but the amount of times we see these smashed on the floor, dented units because of these, they're quite heavy, and these do bounce around quite a lot when on the road. All right, so just bear in mind that you do need to be removing that when traveling. Not going to teach you how to use a microwave. Again, that's all pretty self-explanatory stuff. Cooker, 3 gas burners, 1 electric. The electric one is the one on the end here. Okay, so that turns on. All right, and is purely 240 volt. Again, a bit like the microwave, you can only use that when we're on mains power. That's heating up as I can feel that, so that's all working as I expect it to, so that is good. Just means that we don't have to use the gas if we don't want to, if we're on a mains hookup site. I've then got 3 gas burners. All right, so the way we've got an igniter switch here. So we push, turn on, hold down, and press the igniter. There we go, and that lights up. When you first turn your gas on, it's always best to come and light one of these, just again a bit like we purged the water system, just to purge the gas system. All right, so they all work as they do. Separate grill, again you can see which one's the grill by the shaded area, but they all light in the same way. There we go. All right, and then our oven, also exactly the same. Turn it on, hold down, press the button, and there we go. Do bear in mind it's not a domestic oven, this is a caravan oven, so it may take a little bit longer to cook things, so just be aware of that. All right. We also have more, that's the plug there for your for the electric hot plate. Okay, so that's what that is. Of course, always making sure we're turning all of our gas off, and when we're traveling as well, this glass protector, have it down as well. Again, a bit like the microwave plate, we do see these smash on the floor, so because it does bounce around a lot in here, so make sure that's down when we're traveling. Cutlery drawer, okay, and another cupboard down here. You also have a chopping board in there which fits in the sink, and we have our pantry here as well. Gas isolators are down here. Okay, so if you do need to isolate anything, that's where you come to do so, any of the appliances that are on this side here. Right, fridge. Okay, 3-way fridge, works on electric when we're plugged into mains, works on gas when we're not plugged into mains. Okay, so on-off switch is just here. You can see we've got the green light because we've got it on. Okay, we open the fridge by opening this. It's nice and cold in here. It's been on overnight. Freezer section is freezing, which is what we want. Okay, now the way we operate the fridge is we wake it up by pressing the middle button here, and you can see we've got a sign there that says we're plugged. It's mains power, and this is our temperature here. All right. So what we do is we hold this button down, the grey one. And you can see we're flashing now, so if I want to move it over to gas, go over to the flame, okay, press select, and then we can set our temperature for gas. So if we use the arrows, we can go up and down, and then press the select button, and that will then light the fridge on gas. You'll hear it go click, 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 and then you'll hear it fire up. All right, but if it doesn't fire up, it will alarm and tell you that it hasn't done so. All right, I can then also hold it down, okay, and then go across to battery and press select, and then press select for my temperature. Now you can see this is flashing because it's not working. That's when I'm plugged into my car. We can maintain a temperature in the fridge when we're traveling, all right, off the 12 volt system of the car. It doesn't mean it's going to work off the battery of the van, okay, but it will maintain the temperature. Won't chill it down, so if you do want to use that feature, you're best to run it on gas or electric first, and then switch it to battery once it's cooled down. All right, but anyway, I'm going to put it back to hold it down, put it back to electric. Okay, because I know I'm running on electric here, no problem at all. So that's how my fridge works. All right, pretty simple. We've got more lights over and above here. We have a switch so we can switch it on and off. We have another skylight here as well. So again, blinds and fly screens for that. This one is over our kitchen, so we can change the direction of it by pressing the grey handle and pushing up from one side. All right, or we can do it from the other side, or we can do it from both. Okay, or we can have it go that side. So depending on where the wind's coming from, we can do whatever we want. But do make sure that we're closing our skylights when we're travelling. All right, otherwise we'll end up damaging those, so we don't want to do that. Okay, bathroom. Again, similar skylight here as the one we've just looked at in there. We do have also a light in here as well with the same on-off switch, but we do have the on-off switches for them down here as well and in the shower. This is our toilet. All right, so we've got a Thetford toilet. This is where our flush tank is sitting in here that we looked at from the outside, and our cassette is sitting in here. All right, so we use the toilet in the absolute normal way. This does spin to make it more comfortable depending on how long our legs are. Use the toilet, press the thrust button. Okay, you can hear the pump running. That will then fill this up with our pink fluid that we've got in our flush tank, and then to release it into the cassette, we use this handle here. Push it over to one side, that opens the gate up, everything drops down into the toilet cassette, and then we push this all the way back over, making sure it's all the way over to create that seal. Okay, and then that is then sealed down there and keeps all the smells and nasties in where we want them to be. You do need to make sure you push this all the way over though to create that seal. If you don't have this over either, when you try and remove your toilet cassette from the outside, it won't remove unless this is all the way over. Okay, again, that's your flush button. This here is a picture of a cassette that illuminates when it's time to empty our toilet cassette. Again, don't ignore that, otherwise you end up with a right old mess in your cassette. All of our carpets are rolled up away in here, okay, but also in here is our TV aerial, directional TV aerial. Okay, locking nut on the top, spill it down, we can then push this up over the top of the van and lock that into place. Okay, that has now extended the aerial over the van to try and get a better signal. All right, we can then use our handle here. If you twiddle that around, it changes the plane of the aerials again to try and pick up a better signal, not forgetting of course to shut it down when we have finished. That then comes down to our TV booster. All right, so we have a booster here, turn it on from the top, and you can see you have a orange light here which tells me we've got bad signal. All right, so you move this around until it goes green, and that way you've got a better signal. We have our gain here, so if I put it all the way down, it's red, which tells it's no good, then amber. But then if I put this aerial up, it will go to green, I'm sure. There we go. All right, so if I put it down, you can see it will go redder. So that just tells us how good our signal is, basically. All right, that will turn on and off with our mains power anyway, so you can just leave that on if you wish to, but the on-off switch is just situated on the top there. Again, another tap, not going to teach you how to use a tap. All right, so that's all working properly. Showers in here as well. Okay, fallen down, so put that back up in there. The door is also held back on a clip. Again, bounces around a lot when we're travelling, so we want to make sure everything's clipped back when we are travelling. Okay, that's the basics of setting everything up and what everything does. What we'll do is kind of reverse that now, and we'll start switching everything off as if we're leaving site. So I'm going to come and turn my fridge off. You may well not do that and put it on the battery setting ready for when you're towing, but I don't need my fridge anymore. Okay, so that's turned off. I'm then going to come and turn off my main panel here. There we go, turn that off. I'm going to turn off my trimmer panel here as well. There we go, that's everything turned off. There we go. Okay. What I will say, actually, just coming back to this, is turn your trimmer panel off first and then turn off your mains power. All right, if you do it in that order, that will work best. Otherwise, this may alarm at you. All right, so trimmer panel off first, then this panel off here. Then we want to start getting all the water out. Okay, as we said, we don't want to leave water in the van, so we're going to come in here and we're going to open our boiler drain valve, which is this yellow switch down here. So we're going to stick that into the up position. There we go. We can hear all the water starting to rush out of our boiler and down to ground, and we'll see that outside. I'm then going to open all my taps, leaving them in between hot and cold. Okay, that way, if there's any water stuck in the system when we get freezing weather, all right, water expands as it freezes. The amount of time we see cracked taps, cracked pipes, all sorts of things, all right, because the water's got nowhere to go as it expands. And then the next time you plumb your van up, you're going to have water pouring out from somewhere, from a pipe somewhere. So if we can do that with all of our taps, Make sure we're not leaving any water in the van whatsoever. If you can do this even in the summer, it's good practice, and then you know you're never going to come a crop basically. So we make sure we empty our toilet cassette, our flush tank, we empty our boiler, and leave all of our taps open. That way you can't go too far wrong. And then we will then start packing everything up from the outside. Okay, so I would come in here and I would turn my gas off, make sure it's strapped in. Again, so turn that off from there. I'll remove this gas bottle in a second because it's obviously my test gas bottle. I would then unplug my Aquaroll and my waste master, empty those, stow those away in the van, put my water pump away, okay, lift up my legs, and then I'm ready to start towing my van off. All right, and then of course you can use your motor mover to put it on the back of the van. We'll show you that when you pick the van up. Okay, but that is basically how your van operates. Okay, so hopefully that's been useful. We're on the end of the phone if you need us. All the instruction manuals will be in the van, but enjoy your Challenger Sport. Many thanks.